Hello guys, this is the January 28th editorial Friday. So hope you are seeing all the previous episodes, and every day we are putting the daily quiz also based on NCRT, so based on the Hindu, and based on other subjects also it will come in the coming days. And if you are a very serious aspirant, you should not wait for such video series and all. You should be enrolled to a proper test series. If you have till now not enrolled, or maybe whatever you are enrolled is not helping you, then the next 120 days you can study with Vysh IAS content. There is free video classes in most of the subjects in YouTube already, but this is a different paid course of PDF test series which you will get weekly, and we'll give you targets also every day what to study. So timetable is given to you, an Excel timetable, and then weekly test. So if you do this for next 120 days, you are going to complete the entire syllabus and have a much more higher chance to clear prelims. So please WhatsApp me if you have not seen the video. I'll give you the video link also, and then tell you how to enroll to this. So first itself, we'll see the agenda for today. So if you see here, these articles, 4 articles are important. This one is about reopening schools because of the COVID and all. Long time the schools are shut down, but other countries are not shutting it down. So India has to learn from them and reopen. So we'll discuss this. Then Kerala, there is an amendment going on to modify the Lokayukta rules, and that is not being appreciated by everyone. So that we'll discuss what is the changes. Then here Punjab elections we won't need to discuss. And then formalization of economy is a general article on like various steps which government has taken for formalizing the economy and where it is going down or what it is the futuristic things. So that we'll see GS3. Then there's Omicron. It's an interview based article, so it's like 2 3 people discussing. That will simply waste your time. But still, when you are going for your actual interview or something to tackle such questions from the panel, it may be helpful. Other than for discussion sake, it will take a lot of time. So if you want, you can do it yourself. But other COVID related articles, whenever it comes, we will discuss. Okay, but this interview format, you have to self read it. Okay, and this Goa elections, again, not important for us. This is US Russia, USA Russia. Many articles we have discussed, and many more will come in the coming days, because the Russia versus the NATO group backed by USA is having problems in Eastern Europe. Okay, because Russia is trying to annex Ukraine and also there it's a very big issue in the global geopolitics. So here many articles are going to come, and every day we'll discuss it when new points comes. Okay. So if you are new to this channel, please subscribe and also WhatsApp me, because only when you support us we'll be able to give free lectures, and our team also takes up the playlist according to your responses. Okay, it applies to both Vysh IAS and Vysh courses channel. Here also every day non-editorial news articles are put in both Hindi and English. So please see to it that you are watching and leaving your comment. Okay, so please give feedback on every playlist which is being done, and then we can take it forward. So first is about reopening schools. India continues to record over 280,000 cases. Okay, so this is a very huge number, and after the second wave, Delta wave and all, we have learnt a lot of things, and we have known how to deal with it. Luckily, now the Omicron wave which started, even though it is spreading too much, okay, the hospitalization and all those things have not increased. Okay, there is no hospitalization needed, there is no oxygen demand, there is no much deaths happening unless you are maybe pre-existing some medical conditions are there, or you are of old age. Other than that, it's only coming like a seasonal flu, and for 1 week or 10 days you are facing some difficulty, and at home itself, if you quarantine, you will be coming out of it. Okay, so now more than 95% of their available beds are unoccupied. Okay, so by no means does this suggest that Omicron is mild. Okay, meaning you should not start walking without mask, or you should not take your vaccination. That should not be done. You should be still careful only, but compared to the Delta, the odds of requiring hospitalization is very low. Okay, but what we have noticed is when everything is opening up, even the malls or banks or networks, everything is opening up, the schools continues to shut down in most places, and administration are reluctant to open them because most children are unvaccinated. Okay, so what is scientifically, if you see, already 70% of children are having the antibodies within them itself. Okay, which is no different from adult, meaning the children are not likely to be falling ill. Even if they fall ill, it is not going to be severely ill. Okay, it is scientifically, that is what the study is showing most of the country. So when you shut down schools, the years of quality teaching, okay, that is being lost, because students, especially primary children, they cannot study with online. Okay, you can study some books or by heart some things, but your cognitive skills, your interaction skills, your person to person everything will develop only when you are going to school, meeting the teachers or meeting the fellow children. Only then you will be able to do. Also, another thing is, for poor people and all, this nutritious meal, the midday meal which is being given, that is the one good meal which they get in a day. Okay, in some of the rural areas. So when schools are shut down, that also is being taken away from them. Okay, so now COVID pandemic is not ended, but societies are better prepared, and we are aware of most of the things. Okay, lockdowns are all effective, but as a temporary measure and give time to stock up, but not sustainable over a very long time. Okay, states should prioritize expanding vaccine coverage, masks when children are in close confines, then periodic testing, gauge transmission, monitor hospitalization ward. All these you can do, but you cannot shut down school for long time. And experience from UK, USA and all suggests that reopening of schools hardly impacted transmission trend. So India must incorporate these lessons and reopen the schools. Okay. So now second article is Kerala Lokayukta. So Kerala government is proposing to amend the Lokayukta Act. You know, like Lokpal we have in the center, Lokayukta are there for different states and it is there since very long time. Okay, Lokpal bill passed very recently, but Lokayukta Act is there since very long time in most of the states, especially like Kerala. Okay, now the LDF government who is ruling there, I think some problem has happened that some of their own party members are being forced to resign or something is happening as per the Lokayukta Act. So they being the government, they are trying to change it. Okay, they're justifying the proposed amendment, and it is like removing the provision which will make the judicial body directing a public servant to vacate office, meaning their ministers members are asking to be resigned under corruption charges or under some things by the Lokayukta. So now they are going and changing the Lokayukta rule itself, okay, so that nobody can be dismissed like that. So opposition surely will be criticizing it, okay, because they're trying to dilute the Lokayukta Act, which is since many years it is there. Okay, so Congress-led UDF and the BJP, they are the opposition parties. They are appealing to the governor not to allow, okay, not to promulgate the ordinance, because it's not even through the proper law. Okay, when the parliament, sorry, the state legislature is not in session, they are trying to move it through an ordinance quickly, hurriedly. They are trying to pass it. Okay, so this may be actually they are telling it's linked to the ongoing inquiries against the members of the cabinet itself, meaning the ministries itself who is currently being done. If you see in April 2021, some ministry, education minister, this Jalil, he was had to resign, okay, after the Lokayukta found him guilty of nepotism. Okay, so this is like there is a binding nature in the Lokayukta declaration that a public servant against whom an allegation is substantiated should not continue to hold office. So such a rule is there, and this rule is what they are trying to remove it. Okay, so government now says the section is unconstitutional when it could have been challenged by Jalil himself. So now they are telling that this kind of removal cannot be done, because in Constitution we have Article 163 and 164 in which governor on the advice of chief minister only will do things. There are many things. So suddenly when Lokayukta, an external body, comes and removes people, that is actually violating the appointment and removal procedure which is written in the Constitution. Okay, so that is why they are trying to defend the proposed ordinance. And also another thing is, once you remove someone through the Lokayukta thing, there is no provision for appeal also. So it proposes to amend to the effect that governor, the government or authority may decide on the Lokayukta's finding within 3 months. Meaning, when Lokayukta gives a judgment that removes someone, it should not be immediately coming to effect. It should actually, there should be a discussion. 3 months, the governor, government, authority, everyone will come and discuss, then decide whether that person should step down or not. This is the amendment they are trying to bring. Also, they are trying to bring an appeal. Okay, if anything is such thing happening, there should be a provision for appealing to some next level also. So everything is valid what they're telling, but the ordinance route, that is what people are not liking it. One thing is, you should interestingly see that this Lokayukta Act itself was passed by the same government only, the LDF government which is ruling now, headed by E.K. Nayanar that time in 1990s. That time he only passed this law. Okay, so that time if it is not unconstitutional, now how come it is unconstitutional? That is what the opposition is asking. The legislation is actually quite ahead of its time, because this defection and removing people from the parliament and all, Supreme Court gave such verdicts and all later, much later. But much before this, Kerala had a Lokayukta Act where people could be removed for nepotism and for corruption and all. So it was much ahead of time. Okay, so only in 2013, as I told, the apex court, the Supreme Court, struck down a clause in election law that saved a serving legislature from disqualification among conviction until an appeal was filed and disposed of. So 2013 there was a thing where such thing was struck down, meaning an appeal was given and all. So now they are trying to do the same thing in Kerala. Okay. So this process is being questioned, that through the ordinance route it is going. Other than nothing much is there. So what you have to go and study is go and find out which state had the first Lokayukta, which had the latest Lokayukta. Are there any states without Lokayukta? These are all given in your Lakshmikant textbook itself. Okay. So when a news article comes, UPSC will not directly ask from the news item. They will ask the static part of it. So you have to go and revise the Lokayukta chapter from Lakshmikant textbook. Okay. Hope it's clear. Now next one, economy formalization. It's a little bit lengthy article, but I'll just tell you the important points. You know, from 2016, the government has made several efforts to formalize the economy. Like we had demonetization, we had GST, we had digitalization, we had this all the Google Pay, Phone Pay, Paytm, everything coming. So everything is like trying to formalize things. Okay, and enrollment of informal sector workers also into all the portals, so that they get the proper benefits like the PF, EPF benefits or provident fund, gratuity. Many things are there. They're trying to register everyone. Okay, so why this is being done? the formal sector, formalization. The formal sector is actually more productive than the informal sector, and this formal sector also has social security benefits. These are two important things. Okay, productive, and they'll get the social security benefits. Now, these are all fiscal perspective, meaning the money perspective we are talking about. The perspective appears to draw from a strand of thought advanced by some international financial institution such as the IMF, meaning these are all recommended by the international bodies also. Okay, so informality, okay, it underplays informality as an outcome of structural and historical factors of economic backwardness. Okay, so overall, this article, what the author is trying to tell is, it is not like you simply register some people in the portal or suddenly you give some benefits, it's all going to get okay. All this is happening. Why is informal sector there? Why is unorganized sector there? Because of economic backwardness, because people don't have the ability to go and apply for proper jobs. They don't have proper qualifications. So overall development is the solution. That is what will be the conclusion after the 3-4 slides I show you. That is the conclusion they'll show. For that, they are telling lot of steps. Okay. So it is believed that simplifying registration processes, easing rules of business conduct, and lowering the standards for protection of formal sector workers will bring informal enterprises and their workers into the fold of formality. So this and all will bring. Okay. Now tax reforms are initiated in the mid 1980s onwards. Early on in an attempt to promote employment, India protected small enterprises engaged in labor-intensive manufacturing by providing them with fiscal concessions and regulating large-scale industry by licensing. Okay. So if you see, small industries and all, that time, if you see, India protected those small enterprises engaged in labor intensive manufacturing by providing them fiscal concession, meaning some concessions will be given to them, and the larger industries will be having licensing. Okay, so now if you see these labor intensive industries, okay, textile industry or anything which is labor intensive, they were getting diffused into informal or unorganized sector over the time. This was the things which is being happening because they are not properly licensed now. It's the large industries which get licensed. Okay, the small industries were slowly, gradually, because the government was not doing the proper steps, they were ending up in informal sector. Okay, so further they led to the formation of dense output and labor market interlinkages between the informal and formal sector via subcontracting, outsourcing arrangement. All these things happen in our Asian countries. Okay, contractor job or outsourcing jobs. There will be no proper permanent salary job and all for everyone. Okay, in textile industry, the rise of power loom came. Okay, so power loom at the expense of composite mills in the organized sector and handloom in the unorganized sector. So we had both the things which are interlinking. There are handicraft kind of handloom things also which was unorganized, and there are power looms in the big industries or mills which is the organized sector. Now bringing the enterprises which benefited from the policy into tax net has been a challenge. Okay, because when you bring everyone to the tax bracket, that will be more revenue for the government, and that will in turn reach back the people itself. So that is a big challenge always. Political and economic reasons operating at regional local level in a competitive electoral democracy are responsible for this phenomenon too. Okay, there are always regional local level, there are political reasons also, there are economic reasons also, because some people will keep the people purposely poor, purposely in the unorganized sector, never allow them to come into the tax bracket, never allow them to come into the formal sector. So that way local regional politics also had a very great impact in keeping these people poor or outside the formal sector. Now undoubtedly widening the tax net and reducing tax evasion are necessary. Okay, but global evidences, if you see, legal and regulatory hurdles alone are mainly responsible for holding back formalization, does not hold much water. So as I told, this legal regulatory things are there, regional things are there, all these are things, but this is not the only thing which is holding people from formalization. As I told, it is the main reason is underdevelopment. This is where the author is trying to bring us. Okay, they are telling all these factors are there. Okay, this different type of sectors coming, people getting diffused into labor intensive sectors, then tax evasion controlling, regulatory measures are absent. All these are there, but overall they are telling it is a sign of underdevelopment. Okay, the findings suggest that informality decreases with economic growth, but slowly. Okay, meaning you increase your economic growth, informality will automatically come down. Okay, a similar association is also evident across major states in India based on official PLFS data. Okay, this periodic labor survey will be there. As per data, it is being shown. Hence, the persistence of a high share of informal employment in total employment seems nothing but a lack of adequate growth or continuation of underdevelopment. See, they are round and round coming to the same point, lack of adequate growth or continuation of underdevelopment. Now, the defining characteristics of economic development is the movement of low productivity, informal, that is traditional, sector workers to a formal or modern or organized sector. Okay, so this process, moving them from this low productivity, informal thing to the modern, more productive organized sector is called as structural transformation. Now, East Asia witnessed rapid structural change in the second half of the 20th century. Second half of the 20th century means 1950 and afterwards. Okay, as poor agrarian economies rapidly industrialized, drawing labor from traditional agriculture. So we have seen in the 1950s onwards, there were in East Asia, means in China, in Vietnam, in Japan, everywhere, the people from agriculture were moving towards the other things, the industrialization. Okay, but in many parts of the world, developing countries, including India, informality has reduced at a very sluggish pace. Okay, so here, if you see, even now we have, even in urban or rural area, we have poverty, we have open employment, we have unemployment, we have disguised unemployment. So disguised unemployment, and try to find out, okay, what is the term? I have taught you multiple times in economics, so you should know what is disguised unemployment. Now, despite witnessing rapid economic growth over the last 2 decades, 90% of workers in India have remained informally employed, producing about half of GDP. Okay, so they are in the informal section. Even though we have seen economic growth in number terms, it is not reflecting in the people's formal job creation. Okay, now ILO, International Labour Organization, also is agreeing on this definitions and all these things. So India's official definition of formal jobs as those providing at least one social security benefit. Okay, so India's official definition is at least if you are getting EPF or some benefit, then that means you are under formal job. Okay, and the share of formal job in India is standing only at 9.7 percentage. Okay, less than 10 percentage. Now, official this PLFS data shows that 75% of informal workers are self-employed and casual wage workers with average earnings lower than regular salary workers. Obviously, their earnings should be lesser than the salary workers. Now, the prevalence of informal employment is also widespread in the non-agriculture sector. Okay, it's not like we are telling only agriculture is unorganized or informal and all. In the non-agriculture sector also, there is lot of informal employment, like I told, contract jobs and outsourcing and all. So about half of the informal workers are engaged in non-agriculture sector, which spread across both urban and rural areas. Now, informality is now differentiated and multi-layered. Okay, they're telling. So if you see here, what remains hidden are the large swaths of low productivity informal establishment working as household and self-employment unit. Okay, so there are many levels of it. Okay, right from the household units or the small cottage industry kind of thing, there are small self-employment units and all, which are all under informal sector. Okay, now survival is perhaps the biggest challenge for most informal workers and their enterprises. So they are living for survival, existence. So they are not setting up a company, they are not incorporating, they are not becoming a corporation. They are all in the informal sector, they are just doing it for survival. Now, the challenge of informality looms large for India. The pandemic also has exacerbated or worsened this challenge. State Bank of India is reporting that economy formalized rapidly during the pandemic year of 2020-21, with the informal sector GDP share shrinking. So State Bank of India is telling a positive thing actually, that the corona time, the formalization has happened and informal sector has reduced. Okay, the share has been reducing. So these numbers are like always argued and there is a contraction everywhere. Okay, people will tell different ways, but this do not represent a sustained structural transformation. Okay, they are a temporary and unfortunate outcome of the pandemic, and it will spring back to life soon. Okay, because for survival, to produce whatever it can using its abundant labor and meager resources. Meaning, now State Bank is telling this way, but the author is telling these are all temporary thing. Again, when people need survival and people needs to produce things with their labor and whatever they have, they will again start doing things informally, and a lot of informal things will continue to happen, is what the author is telling. So policy efforts is required, and already we are doing a lot of things like the government is doing since 2016. So elevating legal and regulatory hurdles are good, it's laudable, it is good. Okay, however, these initiatives fail to appreciate the bulk of the informal units and their workers are essentially petty producers. Okay, so these attempts will yield limited results. This legal thing, regulatory thing, this are all you're bringing, it will only bring limited result, and finally you have to again work on the underdevelopment. Okay, you have to develop the area, develop the people. The economy will get formalized when informal enterprises become more productive through greater capital investment and increased education and skills are imparted to the workers. Meaning the people overall, you have to develop them, you have to push in more and more capital. This budget also, if you see this time's budget, a lot of money has been pushed into capital infrastructure and building the system better. Okay, because more such investment comes, more people will get jobs, more and more roads, more and more railways, ports, everything when you create, many people are going to get jobs also, and that area is going to develop. People are going to live a more modern life. Okay, so mere registration under numerous official portal will not ensure, considering the poor record of implementation of labor law. Okay, meaning simply registering them under portal or giving one security benefit is not enough. You have to grow the people and the area as a whole. This is the overall article. Now the last article, Russia USA. So Russia, as I told, Ukraine is there. Ukraine's Crimea, they have already annexed in 2014, and now around 1 lakh troops they have stationed near the border of Ukraine. So everybody is expecting that Russia will go and attack Ukraine. Okay, but Russia is actually playing psychological game there, because when that happens, USA gets suspicious and USA is calling Russia for meetings now. Okay, like let's meet, don't attack. We will not expand our NATO towards there. Okay, because you should know there's something called NATO, North Atlantic Treaty Organization, where USA has a lot of members from the Europe also in their that group or their team, and it's considered that if somebody attacks any one country, it is like considered as an attack on the whole NATO. So everybody will become one team and they will oppose. So USA is offering this NATO membership to everyone there. So USA reached so much near to Russia, like Georgia, Belarus. There are many countries near to Russia which are old USSR countries. So that Russia is not liking. Okay, so that is why Russia is also trying to attack from that side and come westwards. Okay, so now it's like a Cold War 2.0. There was once a Cold War, and now it's again like Cold War 2.0. And all this started during the time of Barack Obama administration. Okay, now if you see Putin, okay, about Putin, actually many articles, as I told, in the coming days I will discuss. So Putin had stepped back from the Russian presidency to the role of prime minister. Okay, once upon a time he stepped down as prime minister and put somebody else as the president. But actually it's like this thing only. The president is like a Robin, and he's like a Batman. So he simply, for namesake, he becomes the prime minister, but full controlling is done by him only. Okay, for namesake he had a president in front of him. Okay, so that time also with Obama there were discussions, and there was a decent amount of personal chemistry. They even tried starting a New START treaty. Okay, New START treaty means it's about the nuclear warhead you can have. Okay, earlier you had a START treaty, then they revised it to New START treaty. So it's like restricting both the nations to 1550 deployed strategic nuclear warhead, nearly two-thirds less than that than what is the original START treaty permitted. Okay, so this one I think, but later this was I don't know whether it is still active, but that also you have to go and find out. Okay, so New START treaty, whether it exists now, whether it is still active, or both the countries withdraw from it, try to find out. Okay, first Google, you type it, it will come. Okay, now Putin also, then by that time, by 2012, if you see, Russia entered WTO, and Russia's Putin came back to presidency. So after that, troubles again started. Okay, when, as I told, when Putin stepped down and the other president was there, slowly with USA, they were trying to build up some chemistry. Okay, but once Putin came back, it again started spoiling. Okay, and one interesting thing is, the reason these two are fighting is not because they have any bilateral issue. All these are because they both are going and interfering in other countries, in third countries. Okay, whether it is Libya or Syria, anywhere. If you see this case, you can read what is happening there. But somebody will go there and support one person. Like if suppose there is a fighting between one, like Shia versus Sunni, or maybe any president backed forces or military backed forces, something is fighting. One side will be supported by USA, one side will be supported by Russia, so they both will start fighting. Okay, so literally Russia versus USA, there is no direct fight. Okay, it is through these middle countries that fight is happening. So now again, these bilateral conditions, this thing are all getting worsened. And here again, some case of some persons they are telling. Okay, some person died in prison in Russia, and another, some NSA contractor was US intelligence person. So these are like people getting caught, like spies and all getting caught. So these are all not important for you. You don't have to by heart all this. But like this, there are country related issue also, people related issue also, which came out, and in the, USA and Russia had been fighting a lot of things for that. Okay, now as I told, Putin annexed Crimea in Ukraine, in 2014, and this was a UPSC question also, match the following, Crimea, Ukraine. So after that, a lot of sanctions and all will come, because USA, whenever something happens, USA will tell, okay, now you cannot use dollar, you cannot use our resources, you cannot use our ports. So like that, they will tell, like, don't trade with our friends. Okay, even to India, USA told, don't trade with our trade with Russia. Okay, there's a CAATSA agreement and all between US and India. So like that, they will do all these things. So now if you see, to attempt sanctions in coordination with the European Union, and an attempt to strengthen NATO's eastern flank, the European Reassurance Initiative. Okay, so this you should see here. Earlier it was called the European Deterrence Initiative. Okay, prior to 2017, known as the European Reassurance Initiative. Reassurance. It is a program that was initiated in June 2014, about 3 months after the annexation of Crimea by Russia, by the White House, to increase the US presence in Europe for security purpose. Okay, so when Russia attacked Ukraine or annexed Crimea, USA started with European Union something like this, European Reassurance Initiative. Okay, meaning you don't have to worry that Russia will come. We will be reassuring your safety. Okay, so that kind of one thing USA started. Okay, so when you see this, you should know that it is USA's initiative. Okay, not Europe's initiative. So like that, this thing's going on, and Russia's actions only represented the weak ambition of a regional power. intelligence report of interference in US elections also you would have heard. That time when Trump was competing against Hillary Clinton and all, that Russia wanted Trump to come in power, so they hacked some campaigning things and all of Hillary Clinton, and then that's how Hillary Clinton lost. So many things was there, okay, that time in 2016. So things were not going right between Obama and Putin, but after Trump came, it was a little bit okay. And now Trump again has gone. So you should know there is only two parties there. One is Democratic Party, that is Obama and the President Joe Biden and all, and the Republic Party, which is Trump. Okay, so they were not in good terms with Republic Party, so that is why this hacking and all these things happened. And then after that, now again, Democratic Party has come, and again Putin is trying to challenge each time and trying to create conflict. Okay, so this is the Russia-USA issue. So more detailed articles will come specific to certain countries, that will come in the coming days. So please see to that you subscribe and watch every video, that too in order. Okay, because each day a context gets built up. So when the context is not clear to you, then you will not be able to gain the extra knowledge. So please subscribe and give your comments. I'll come up with the next video. Thank you and have a nice day.